Thursday here. There's less, actual like free agent speculation stuff because we're kind of past that. So, if I may indulge before the Xfinity Internet Gremlins cut me off again here so rudely.
Quick, baby.
By the way, I literally have gotten 2 text messages. I don't know if you guys have ever had this. Like Judd had some like Friday at 11 a.m. internet issues for like 6 months. Super weird.
Yes, I did.
Just like, all right, I guess at 11 a.m. on Friday we're just gonna. So I got 2 text messages this week from Xfinity here saying, "Hey, a warning that on this week and on this day we're going to be doing major work to upgrade the network in your area, but you're basically going to be without internet or tons of interruptions for X amount of time." It's like, for them to feel the need to send a text message about it means that, like,
bring on your reckless speculation points.
Yes. So let's speculate on the future of the Timberwolves against the Grizzlies here.
You know what I have to do for this? Put my Wolves bib on.
Well, first you have to wave it.
Hold on. Get the flag. Get the flag first. Yep. Wave that. Yep. There you go.
There it is.
Your towel waving has really upgraded in the last few days. The first few times it was you didn't know what to do.
Because I was trying to show the fans that it is a Wolves towel. Like I didn't just go to the closet and pull out a random towel.
You know what?
But now, because this is going to be meat and potatoes and gravy, I got to put on the Wolves bib.
Yes. You know what I was secretly hoping for? If the Wolves... First, I wasn't hoping that they would lose the game the other night. I'm glad that they won the game. But if they were going to lose the game, and the way that things were trending for Karl-Anthony Towns, and we knew that Judd was sitting courtside, and he was going to do the podcast courtside after the game, after people cleared out. Well, sometimes when players have bad games, they come back to the court and like shoot for a half hour. And I was just waiting for Judd to be sitting there in an empty arena doing a podcast with us, doing Ventline, with Karl-Anthony Towns out there taking jumpers, listening to him.
The funny thing was he did come back, but he was in his street clothes.
But did he come back to like see family and stuff? Or
I guess so, yeah. So yes, he did come back. I did see him post game. I can confirm I saw him post game, but yeah, he was not back out there sweating and shooting jumpers.
Yeah. So let's talk about the tail of the tape here, right? Let's talk about Memphis. Declan, you had the game one with Doogie there, the game one line. So Memphis is a favorite. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in the NBA. They both averaged 115 points per game. Memphis is the best rebounding team in the NBA and the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. They lead the NBA also in steals and blocks defensively. They're not a great three-point shooting team. They're kind of mid-pack, but as Doogie talked about on the scoop, Desmond Bane, who was like a late was he a second round? No, I think he was like a late first-round pick from a couple years ago, and the Grizzlies acquired him. Good role player last year. He's like a 6'5". He's kind of like Bradley Beal. Like he's just a sniper shooter. He can play the 2, can play the 3. He's averaging almost 20 points a game, and he can go off with the best from 3-point range. So he is their sniper shooter that you have to worry about just going off for like 7 threes in a game at any point. But that's kind of the tail, man. I mean, on the Memphis side, high energy, high scoring. They get hands in passing lanes. They defend the perimeter. On defense, they've got Jaren Jackson Jr., who's 6'10", 6'11", and Steven Adams has been in the league. He was with those Oklahoma City teams from like 10 years ago with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and those guys. But Jaren Jackson Jr. led the NBA in blocks, and he will likely attempt to defend Karl-Anthony Towns mostly one-on-one. We'll see. But the most curious thing that I see here is, how does Memphis defend Cat? Does Memphis look at the Clippers blueprint and say, okay, so in the regular season, Cat wasn't the dominating force in those 2 wins against Memphis, but Cat was like 23-10 against Memphis this year and played pretty well. So do they run Jaren Jackson and Steven Adams at him one-on-one and just try and shut him down that way? Or do they look at the Clippers and say, man, that guy got flustered by double teams. Let's do it again. Let's see if we can get 3 quick fouls on him. So that's kind of the cat and mouse game, if you will, between.
Oh, I like that. Meat and potatoes, Wolves right there. So yeah. I got to clean up a bit. And I got a question off of that, though. And here's the thing. So
you missed a spot there.
Yeah. Oh, boy, right there.
There you go.
Good stuff. Oh, that's good. That's as we continue to cut into the Wolves steak here, here's my thing. So the game on Tuesday, I actually was not most disappointed in Finchy for his in-game moves there because, yeah, you could question them, but those are split-second decisions. what really surprised me, and what I had predicted when we did the podcast with Dane on Tuesday, and I think I was just flat out wrong, was we sort of knew what they were going to do to the Clippers, and they did it, and the Wolves had no response for it. And and in that case, I'm going to defend Cat a little bit. Cat's not going to come up with the response to how, like, he can respond how he reacts. But as far as the actual strategic move itself, he's not going to have the game plan answer. That comes from the coaching staff. So I really thought Finchie would have a plan, like they're doing this, because they did exactly what you thought. So, okay, they're doing that. Now here's our plan to help Cat out.
Yeah.
That really didn't exist. Like, Cat just was in trouble. And you know that from that point on, it's sort of predictable. He's going to melt down. It's not good. So my question is, Phil, off of your point, if the Grizzlies say, okay, the Clippers, they got it. Like, this is the blueprint in a long series. Again, I'm going to defend Finchie a bit and say I find it hard to believe that the Wolves are going to say, "Oh, they did it to us again." So, is there going to be a response this time that's at least going to attempt to put Karl in a position to succeed? Because I didn't think on Tuesday, just from a starting point, he had that.
Yeah, there's so much. Think about this. We are sitting here in the middle of April, dissecting the minutia of an NBA playoff series preview with the Timberwolves for the second time in my adult life. Second time in Declan's adult life.
Here we go. I'm gonna do it.
I mean, come on.
Wave the flag.
That's right.
Ooh, jiggly jump.
Oh, wow. Good.
Jiggly jump.
Shoes are off.
Shoes are
I can't take the shoe off. Here's my
Series
shoe.
over. Shoes off.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Oh God. The
Slippers
slipper.
off.
Yeah, the slipper.
Slippers off.
Slippers off.
Big slipper guy. Big slipper guy.
So, if I'm the Timberwolves, sorry, that's me. I got that.
I mean, I don't mind it playing in the background the whole time.
Just keep it going. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
It's a playoff series.
If I'm the Wolves, I welcome be careful what you wish for here, because Jaren Jackson and Steven Adams can be absolute pests as defenders, but I'd rather them send one guy one-on-one to try and handle Karl-Anthony Towns than have to deal with what happened against the Clippers, unless you're confident that Towns can take a deep breath. I think, those of us that were fortunate enough to watch Kevin Garnett operate at his peak, and the only time the Wolves made a deep playoff run in 2003-04, I mean, KG at his peak was brilliant out of double teams. He's one of the best passing bigs in the history of the NBA. And Cat's a good passer too. Like, Cat's not KG and doesn't have quite that same vision and ability to dissect quickly and calmly what's happening defensively. But, like, when you watch KG from 15, 20 years ago, welcome a double team, hold the ball high over his head very calmly with that wingspan. If I just hold the ball up here, just keep it away. And then the other four guys are looking to move and cut or find open space because someone's open, right? Spread the floor. So, I mean, in a perfect world, sure, run a double at Cat. Someone's open. He's going to rifle a pass. The Wolves have all kinds of shooters. But, like, that obviously didn't happen against the Clippers. So, like, that part of the chess match. The other thing, too, is because the Grizzlies are such a great rebounding team, number one in the NBA in rebounding and number one in offensive rebounding, if Cat gets into foul trouble, who rebounds for the Wolves? Like, Jared Vanderbilt can grab some rebounds, but they're going to have a hard time keeping up on the glass with Cat on the court. So you're going to need rebounding help from guards in these games. I mean, Pat Bev is a brilliant rebounding guard. D'Lo in certain games can get in there, but, like, you're going to need Ant and you're going to need Beverly. Jaden McDaniels. Like, you're going to need your non-bigs to rebound in this series against this team. So listen to that. I mean, come on. What more? Meat and potatoes break on you? Hold on. I mean, come on.
Football too.
There you go. Hold on a second. There you go.
Shoes off.
Shoes off.
All right. So, off your Cat passing point, which I love. Great discussion, because you're right. KG was brilliant. And KG at times, I think was almost preferable in what you're talking about when he would pass, because they created so much space for him to do so. On Cat, the one thing that you need is Cat not to be cute with his passes. These no-look passes that that it felt like he got into the tendency of trying to be super cute. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you don't have to be Magic. You
Or
don't
he's
have to
trying
be,
to emphasize contact to say like, look,
yeah,
I'm getting fouled. No, dude, like
exactly. Don't try and do so like to the term meat and potatoes, do that. Just make the pass. Like somebody is open. It doesn't need to be a rifled, because he'll rifle the ball at times unnecessarily. It doesn't need to be a rifled no look pass. It doesn't need to be cute. It doesn't need to make a highlight reel. It just needs to be an effective pass to score. That's the first thing. The second thing, and Phil, I'm going to throw this at you as an X's and O's idea, because the one thing that I love about the playoffs in both hockey and basketball is this: the ability of the coach to make an impact with adjustments that the opponent is not expecting. Like I think coaching come playoff time, I actually think coaching is an underrated, sneaky thing, because it's not like an obvious huge adjustment at times, but it's a subtle one, and the opponent's like, "Oh, we didn't expect that. Now we have to adjust." So I'm gonna throw this at you and tell me what you think. What would you think at times if they used Naz Reid and Cat on the floor at the same time? And Naz is the big, because here's my problem. Jared Vanderbilt, who I love, like he plays his ass off, but he doesn't really score. And he's no threat to score. And so opponents don't respect it. Like they're just like, okay, dude's going to play hard and rebound. What would you think about looks that, and it's been done before, but it's not done a ton, that gave Cat the freedom to be a big on the floor, but gave Naz the responsibility of the big in an attempt, because Naz can score.
he can. Yeah, Naz is so interesting because sometimes he can be just a gaping liability on defense, but then other times he can come in and stretch the floor. I do love when he's at his best. Like he does bring some great energy. That's a good question. I think, what's funny. I don't know if this is just coincidence or what, but Naz Reid, the most blocked against any team this season by far. Like he's not a huge shot blocker, but like he blocked way more shots against Memphis this season than any other team that they played. And again, maybe it's just a small sample size, but he was very effective getting hands up defensively. And yeah, I think. Well, let me frame it back this way. Sure. If you're going to beat Memphis in this series, there's going to have to be role players like that find a niche or something. I mean, another guy that didn't play against the Clippers, Taurean Prince, and what's his injury status, and can he come out? Because the Timberwolves should be able to create a gap. 3 points, a 3-point gap between Memphis and the Wolves in this series. Like, the Wolves are a better 3-point shooting team. Desmond Bane is probably the best 3-point shooter in this series, but the Wolves overall, up and down, should be able to be in the positive in 3-point shooting. So, can you then mitigate the other negatives? Like, if Memphis is going to out-rebound you, if Memphis is going to get to the free throw line more often, right? If Memphis is going to score more points in the paint, like, how much of a gap can you create shooting 3-pointers? That's another thing. Here's another one, all right? So, Ja Morant, who just came back, he missed like a month. He missed a lot of time. He came back second to last game of the season, put up like 25 or 30 points, and showed that he's healthy. When he was out, by the way, they won almost every game. They were just like, this team has really come into its own with or without Ja Morant, but he's the best player. So, in their last meeting, which was a Timberwolves win in the 4 games that they played, the Wolves forced Ja Morant into a 7 for 25 shooting night, 0 for 4 from deep, all right? Here's the key. I don't know how you do this because he is very difficult to stop, and there are games where he also gets going from 3-point range, and if that happens, you're pretty much screwed. But he's not a great shooter. He loves to get inside the paint, inside 5 feet, and he's one of the best converters once he gets inside the paint in the NBA. There's been 27 games, however, this season where Morant has shot under 50% from the field. And in most of those games, he's being forced to shoot from further outside. In those games where he shoots under 50%, the Grizzlies are 12-15, including 2 losses against the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have held him under 50% 3 times. The Grizzlies are 1-2 in those games. In all other games, so either games in which he shoots over 50% or games in which he did not play, the Grizzlies are 44-11. So there's a lot of things that that this series could ride on, but if Ja Morant gets the shots that he wants, which largely are shots in the paint, and he shoots a lot of threes too, but like he's very hit or miss from downtown. If he gets to the line and he gets in the paint at will, you're probably screwed. If you can force him to take shots outside of like 15 feet or 3-point range, I would take my chances in this series. He might get hot a couple times, but I would take my chances if you are forcing him to stay out on the perimeter. Now, how do you do that? It's probably a combination of Pat Bev. It's probably a combination of a few guys, but that's a huge thing to watch.
Pat Bev, I think, has the ability to frustrate you completely, like to the point of annoyance. On the Nas thing as well. So, and I mean, my ask might be entirely too big here, but on the Nas thing as well, I think that when Nas comes in for Cat, I think a lot of times what you see is a poor man's Cat. He'll go and shoot threes.
Not as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But
he'll rebound a little bit, but not as well. Yeah.
Right. But he'll try and go on the perimeter. He definitely does have. It's not Cat, but I mean, Cat's a star. He definitely has a perimeter game. I guess what I'm thinking in trying to flesh this out as far as the potential of Cat and Nas being used at the same time is this as well. You would almost need to make Nas be the Vanderbilt role, but as a different player. So like I wouldn't want both of them outside. I would tell Cat, you have the ability to do what you do. So like if you go roam, you go roam. If you don't, you don't. But the fact is, you are basically the 4 here. And Nas is the 5. And Nas is going to have to do the dirty work, but we actually think that he can score more effectively, and I think that this is very true, than Jared can. So I'm trying to think of what can you throw at Memphis that's not going to take you outside your identity, but is probably going to be a curveball compared to the tape that they've consistently seen.
Yeah, no, or do the Wolves just say, listen, we're one of the best teams in the NBA since the All-Star break. It's less about what we throw at them, and ultimately they kind of just played their game and then adjusted without Karl-Anthony Towns against the Clippers, and it was ugly, but it worked.
Yeah, but that's one game and done. I'm just trying. I think a series takes a toll.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun chess match.
Oh yeah,
this is going to be a.
I love series. I love this because it's so much fun. Sorry,
I've already made 2 bets on this game per Bovada.
You told me last week I don't bet that much. Now you're like,
I won some money on the Masters. I won some money on Jordan Spieth missing the cut. I placed that bet before it happened, so I put that on to write that down and on some money on it. So I got some capital to play with here. To play with.
Declan's going to be homeless in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know. I like the over. Two high-scoring teams.
2 high-scoring teams. It'll be fine.
He's going to come to work with 2 black eyes.
Yeah. Kneecap shot.
Hey, guys, what's up? I fell down the stairs last night.
I traded in my 4 teeth that I paid astronomical money for 2 years ago to pay off my bets to this bookie was going to threaten to break them off.
To a round 1 series against the Grizzlies.
I thought Chris Paddock was going to be good tonight.
I swear he was.
I thought he was going to be really
the Dodgers aren't used to the cold weather. I don't know.
It'll be fine.
Judd, why don't you tell the audience about a great Mother's Day gift that we are supporting here on Mackie and Judd?
Supporting, and we're doing it because it's going to make your life, sons, dads, it's going to make your life simpler. Because right now you're sitting there saying what I used to say, which is, what am I going to get for Mom's Day? What can I get? And I don't want to get something cliched, and I'm going to give you the perfect gift. Sports Dad is telling you right now: spiral light candles. These things are super cool. They smell fantastic, and I guarantee you, your mom or your wife is going to love them. In fact, what you do is you light the wick at the top, okay, guys? It burns down spiral fashion then, and the wax drips down into what I would call a secondary candle that will last for 40 hours, and the smell is fantastic. This is not like your standard boring, this candle is so boring. No, it's not. It's great. It's a perfect gift. It's inexpensive. Prices start at $14 a wide array. Orders of $50 or more ship for free. It's local, which means 1, support it here, but 2, It's shipped out basically same day. So like, you're like, it's a day before Mom's Day or 2 days or 3 days. Guess what? It arrives quickly. Go to spirallightcandles.com, spirallightcandles.com. Check out the site. But I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for something for your wife or mom, it's great. In fact, Dawn tried one and said, you know what? I need more. She's ordered more already on the Zolyak credit card. I'm thrilled about that. Spirallightcandles.com.
Spiral Light Candle. Let's rock and roll here. All right, let's get to old tweets exposed, where we are just at the mercy of Declan and the things that he pulls from the internet archives to embarrass us. So what do you got here, Dex?
All right, I got a couple Wolves thoughts from both of you in the last year and a half or so. I have a Twins thought, which we'll get to later on. Let's start with Phil, though. This was before the 2020 season started, okay? And there was a trade possibility of Bradley Beal that was thrown out recklessly on ESPN.
Dude, why did Bradley Beal was like, I'm going to stay in Washington. All right, guy.
Let me try to pull up this trade.
Stay in Washington.
What was being asked here? Very slowly and surely. It was a Bradley Beal and the number one pick. That's what it was. So the Wolves would have gotten Bradley Beal, and the Wizards would have gotten the number one pick, which would have been Anthony Edwards, James Johnson, Jarrett Culver, Jake Layman. But regardless,
or
Anthony
they might have
Edwards,
drafted LaMelo, actually. There's a
they
whole
could have
butterfly
drafted
effect
LaMelo.
here.
This is true. But Phil Mackey was on board. In fact, inject this trade into my veins.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love me some Ant Edwards. I'm glad that pick has panned out, and I'm glad that the Timberwolves have him.
Mm-hmm.
This probably would have been a little bit like the Jimmy Butler trade, in that you would be expediting your winning curve and maybe capping your ceiling. But Bradley Beal is in his prime right now. This was a weird year for him. He missed half the season. He was banged up. His scoring average was way down. He's also probably just uninspired playing for that crappy organization, which he elected to stay with.
Yeah, he stayed there, so it's his fault.
But the last 2 years before this, he averaged 31 points per game, shot 47% from the field, and shot 35% from three-point range. Like, Bradley Beal is a freaking stud offensive player.
Yeah, really
so
good.
Would the Timberwolves be better with a healthy Bradley Beal than Anthony Edwards? Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Well, but I'm glad they cashed the lottery ticket. I don't think it's a super hot take to say that it would have been fun to have Bradley Beal in a Timberwolves uniform, but I am happy that it played out the way.
Yeah, your lead is very, very small. Like I think it's going to be trumped here fairly quickly by Declan or myself.
Okay. Oh, here's
February
Judd.
25th, 2021. You think Chris Finch has called his buddy Nick Nurse yet? Finchy. Yeah, Nick, what's up?
Okay,
Nurse. Not much. How's the job going? Finchy. Good. So have you filled my old job yet?
Wow, dude. That was like a week after he got hired.
It was an uninspired, but yes, I do lead. It was
wow.
It was not a very inspired Wolves team, but Finchy did a great job with it.
It was
I
they
give him credit.
pretty much played like dogs for a week after they hired
didn't care.
him, and then he got his little Finchy fingers into the dough.
Yeah, and guess what? Too culture changer, Pat Bev.
He is. Well,
Like,
Finch is too. Yeah,
Right.
Finch and Bev.
But they needed a player. They needed a player to reset the tone, and it had been a long time, and Pat Bev did exactly that.
I love it. Yeah, Pat Bev. By the way, Pat Bev revenge tour. People talk about the Clippers.
Memphis.
Memphis traded him too. Memphis traded for him and then spun him over to the Timberwolves, and so he could easily, maybe that was in the works all along, but like he could easily say, "Well, you didn't want me either. Let's
he will.
eliminate your ass from the first round of the playoffs."
He will. He will. And if that's what jacks you up as a player, that's awesome.
That's
like
great.
what I don't like is when a guy acts like it, but it's quite clear that it's just a show. But with Beverly, it's not a show. It jacks him up. That's awesome. Good for him.
All right, so Judd's got to be the leader in the clubhouse here. Just already losing faith in Finchy's coaching abilities.
Well, Finchy lost faith in the team a weekend, but yes, I'll take the lead.
I never had any old hot takes on Chris Finchy, but I did have a hot Twins take from about 10 years ago that old beat writer Macadac I think will appreciate here.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. December 5th, 2012. Sean Markham, Joe Saunders, and Mike Pelfrey would be guys I wouldn't mind seeing as temporary solutions with huge emphasis on temporary.
Okay.
Sean
You hedged
Markham.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Saunders and Mike Pelfrey, who ended up signing. They actually ended up signing Mike Pelfrey. So
I feel like I
I
had
was right on
Sean
that.
Markham on a fantasy team one time.
Joe
I definitely
Saunders.
did. And Joe Saunders.
That's a great blast from the past as well.
those are three cooked pitchers in 2012.
Yeah.
But you did. I feel like you hedged with temporary.
I hedged.
Judd was just like completely.
I win.
Just sarcasm and everything. So Judd, you're going to be the winner. On
I thought I was being funny.
Amazing.
Now I just
Still though, the fact I was like, hey,
Egg on
Joe
my
Saunders. I wouldn't mind a Joe Saunders or a Sean Markham or even Mike Pelfrey. 45 seconds between pitches, like it would have been completely fine.
Joe. So when did you tweet that? 2012.
Yeah, so it was going into
Saunders was still okay.
He was a lefty. Joe Saunders. God, he came
Tampa
in
Bay,
2005.
L.A. He was
with
with
so
the
many
Angels
teams.
for a while. Markham was in Toronto for a while.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I remember
Joe Saunders in 2012 wound up with Baltimore and Arizona. He's pretty good. 28 starts. Like ERA just over 4.
Big Pelf and Kevin Correa. Those were the answers.
Mike Pelfrey, one of the nicest human beings of all time, but my God, it was impossible to watch him pitch. Just a horse. And he's like 6'6".
Yeah.
I think he was a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just nibble. You know, he's got movement on his stuff, and it was just he would not throw the ball over the plate. Just a disaster.
Speaking of that, of pitching, can we briefly touch on Kershaw's perfect game bid?
Sure.
On what was it, Wednesday? So I was there, okay. And as a Judd the baseball purist, it sucks. He had a perfect game. He could have gotten it. 80 pitches.
He very, I mean, if we are to believe what was said post game, he was asked about, what's the play here. Kershaw said, let's get me to approximately 80 pitches. And then I'm done because I didn't, I was hurt last year. I didn't pick up a baseball until I think right before they came back from the lockout. Yeah, exactly right. But he said, so anyway, so here's my problem. Baseball purist Judd, historical, like I'd love to see a perfect game would be great. And I understand the pushback of the fact that he did not complete that game. The Dodgers brought a guy in from the bullpen who immediately basically gave up a hit and a perfect game, no hit, etc. But I don't have a hot take here, but here's my take. When are we going to realize, and we've had discussions, all three of us, about this previously, but I think that this hits the nail on the head. When are we going to realize that a lot of people don't care about this? Like the perfect game, I care, okay, but I'm 52. But when are we going to realize that there is a growing faction of baseball fans that think that this was a smart move? And furthermore, do not put the historical significance into, oh my God, I think that this would have been the 34th perfect game of all time, or 24th, that I do. But my point is, not that I care about this. Not that I know the exact number.
It's 24, and but Jeff Passan tweeted he has to stay in. There were people that were definitely on board with that, with like the hot take of this was a huge mistake. Yeah. This is why baseball fans are walking away. But my point was this on Twitter, and it's not true of me, but it's true. There's a lot of people that simply do not hinge their baseball fandom on the statistical things that a person like Judd Zulgad does.
So I partially agree in that I think baseball has been way too beholden by statistics and history and 150 years of record books, and it's like it paralyzes them from making changes to the game. Well, we don't want to alter the numbers. I mean, I always reference this. Basketball halfway through the NBA's existence was like, our sport could use a little seasoning.
Yeah.
We just need a little more excitement here. And the Showtime Lakers came along, and that was great too. But right around the time of the Showtime Lakers, they literally drew a line on the court. I think it was the first year of Magic Johnson, was the first year of the three-point shot.
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, the ABA did it first.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was smart to be like, that's a pretty good idea.
And like that drastically altered statistics for the rest of NBA 10. But guess what? 40 years later, okay, we're whatever. We don't get paralyzed over like, well, this player's numbers are wildly different than that player from 40 years ago. Where I disagree with you is 80 pitches, a couple things. Now Clayton Kershaw, he said, blame the lockout, blame the MLBPA, blame the owners. Like, I'm not ramped up. No one's ramped up. Mm-hmm. Well, I get that you couldn't like play in spring training games, but like what's preventing you, Clayton Kershaw, and every other pitcher from being ramped up to throw 100 pitches the first day of the season? Like there's plenty of places to go play catch with teammates and high school catchers, college catchers, whatever. Like, why are you not ramped up? Well, we didn't know when the season was. Okay, well, the season's either going to start close to on time, in which case be ready, or it's not, and it'll like you'll miss games. But either way, like you know, I guess I'm puzzled as to like why these pitchers were all like, well, oh my god, like the spring training, we got to start throwing now. What I would have done, and again, I'm with you. Like, who cares ultimately? Like the game shouldn't be beholden to numbers and things, but a perfect game is so rare. 80 pitches. How about can you send him out there? And they had a lead, right? What was the score? It's like 4-0 or
4-5, 6-0.
Yeah.
Okay, so can he go out there and just pump some strikes and see if he can get? Is there if he throws a 5-pitch inning and a couple guys roll over some breaking balls? Okay, now you're at 85 pitches. If he labors and he goes a full count, okay, boom, bring somebody else in to finish the job. Like, how about going out there and just seeing what happens if you can get a couple quick outs? That's what I would have done. I'm not outraged over it, but like, come on.
But I agree with you completely. My point is we have to start to process the fact that a lot of people don't care. Like that.
Well, but I think, but it's not that people don't care about perfect games; it's people don't care about baseball.
Well,
so I could flip the argument and say a perfect game might get someone to watch it on SportsCenter, and oh, that's interesting. Let's watch the Dodgers now.
I think there's a lot of younger fans that are like, okay, I just don't care about that. That's a problem. I don't have a hot take about he's got to continue or it's the death of this game. I have a hot take about the fact that I think it's an incredibly interesting in the divisive nature about how different people now feel, because I do love the stats. Like I would love to have seen a perfect game. That would have been awesome to see. So from my
have you ever seen a no-hitter? That would have been your first.
I've never been to one. No, yeah. And by the way, a perfect game is like way different to me personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A no would be cool, but they're throwing a lot now comparatively. But a perfect game would have been awesome. I just think that this line in the sand, this has gone too far now, doesn't open itself to the conversation about where baseball has really truly gone, which is unfortunate to me, but I'm also accepting, because ultimately I do want this sport to thrive and survive. And like these old man yelling at Cloud Judd takes of he's got to finish don't get us there, I don't think.
I was far more annoyed by Miguel Sano's 0-for-19 start after yesterday's game than Clayton Kershaw.
It was, yes, I did. Yes, I agree with you.
I love the excuses of like, well, he's just a notoriously slow starter. Well, these games matter. When you fell 15 games below 500 early in the season last year and you had to bench him because he didn't show up until June, and he shows up when the season's already over, like April matters, okay? You can't just like not hit until June.
Are there people on Twitter still like?
Well, I mean, the broadcast crew talks about it. Oh, he's a slow starter, and
he hasn't earned. If Mike, like, let's say Mike Trout has a career like 230-20 hitter in April. Well, it doesn't matter because he's Mike Trout and he's eventually going to turn it on. And I know I'm using the best player in baseball, but Miguel Sano has never earned the right to be one of the top 10 players in baseball, and therefore doesn't deserve any type of cushion of having a crappy April.
Yeah, well,
that's what also infuriates me.
And the top 10 players in baseball don't hit 220 every April with. And by the way, it's not about batting average. Like, he offers one discernible skill, and it's power. In an era where there's more power, that skill is less valuable than it's ever been.
Correct.
And he doesn't give you any other discernible skills.
The other thing too that drives me nuts is Rocco got Carlos Correa off his feet yesterday. Okay, that's Rocco. Miguel Sano, I don't think sat out a game or has sat out a game yet.
Trying to get him going, I guess. Oh.
But that's the point, is it ain't gonna when he gets going, it's probably going to be June, and he'll get going for 2 weeks. But I don't understand. Like, the one thing that I applauded completely that the 2021 Twins did was when they put Miguel into a platoon. And I get Kirillov's hurt because that's going to now be the comeback. Well, who are they going to play? Arise, find a way, find somebody else, a mannequin. Like Miguel Sano is like the at bats are again embarrassing.
Yeah,
They're not competitive at bats.
There really should never be a game. Not never because it's baseball, but like every time I see Miguel Sano in the lineup and Luis Ariz coming off the bench, it's not going to sit well with me. But I'm sure he'll get. He might hit a home run this weekend. Something like he's probably going to get hot for 2 weeks, and
Sure he will.
But even when he's hot, like we now have, he's almost 30 years old. In fact, I'm sorry, he turns 29 in May, so he'll be 29 years old in like a month. So we now have 8 years of sample on this guy. This is year 8. And at no point has he been a big on-base guy. At no point has he been a big runs batted in guy or like, runners on second. Like he doesn't make enough. And these people who are like, what's the difference in outs and out? No, it's not. Well, an out is an out, but a result at the plate isn't always an out. So he strikes out more often than all but like 3 hitters in baseball history. If you were to swap out 50 strikeouts with batted balls, you're not swapping out 50 strikeouts with 50 outs. You're swapping out 50 strikeouts with 50 batted balls. In his career, he hits .320 on batted balls, which means a third of those, if you replace the strikeouts with 50 batted balls, you'd have more hits, doubles, home runs, but he can't make contact. So, I don't know.
Right.
Strikeouts don't matter. That's not
Good
true.
agree.
They absolutely
And
matter.
he broke his
Doesn't
bat
matter.
again. And he breaks his bat. Like, I'm frustrated. Well, no crap, dude. So am I trying to watch you hit.
Judd broke his water jug in the press box
Yeah.
at the same time.
It's
Broke his plastic spoon.
I don't understand why a guy is allowed to keep playing when what he's doing is not competitive to the actual sport he's playing. That's
Yeah,
what I don't
that's fair.
understand.
That's fair. All right, let's wrap it here on Mackie and Joe. We're doing a mock draft simulation, our first of the mock season on Purple Daily today. So if you're looking to nerd out with us, definitely check us out on Purple
And
Daily.
by the way, your connection for a guy that threatened us with connection problems.
Knock on wood.
I'll tell you what.
I just
I don't
did.
know. I've gotten
There,
some
there.
alerts here, like some mystery alerts here. I think it might be them saying, "Hey, we're done." I'll check it after we're done here, but
Okay.
pretty good.
Good work.
This is like mentioning a no-no in the 6th inning. I don't know why we're doing this.
All right, we'll see you guys for Feedback Friday tomorrow.